Reader, tonight Edward asked me to transcribe a letter to an old friend. This has not been unusual. Of late, he is reconnecting with several friends who have visited Thornfield in the past to let them know everything that has changed. It was after dinner, and we sat in the parlor near the fire, and by the light of the lamp I wrote while he dictated the following. Maxim, I'm sorry I haven't written in so long a while. My life has taken such a turn. I've barely been able to take a breath, and those I take I'm more grateful now than ever. You'll notice the change in handwriting. I'm sorry to say I won't be writing much myself anymore, rather dictating. Thornfield is no more. It has burned, and I've burned with it. My eyesight is nearly gone, though I can make out the basic shapes of my surroundings and get around passably well. Do not pity me, for I've had plenty of that for myself for a lifetime. Not to mention the handwriting. This has neater penmanship than I ever did. You'll find my letters much more legible. This is Jane, my lawful wife. He then asked me to introduce myself, and I did so, saying Edward had told me of their old friendship yesterday on our walk. They became friends at school when they were young, and have stayed in touch, though Edward had fallen out of writing in the last few years before we met. I assured him I'd heard only good things, and that I hope we shall meet in person soon. He then went on, I'm sure Jane was far politer than you deserve, for I've only just begun to tell her stories from our school days. I've heard news of your marriage as well. It seems that happiness finds us when we least expect ever to see it again. I wish you both the best of joy. And, if I may, I'd be so bold to offer some advice from my far wiser position of a whole year of new marriage. Examine yourself. I've had much time to do so between the end of Thornfield and our wedding and now. To think back on a time and a person I've tried to leave behind, I'm sure you know to what I refer. And though I would never wish either of our pasts on another man, I do hope in some way you know what I mean. I shan't be too melodramatic, but it is worth noting I am afraid of few things in life, and I worry about the distance between my past and present self. I hurt someone. Probably several more I don't even know of, unaware as I often am. But Bertha, I know you only met her once, but she was not... He then had me scratch out everything before the line, I hurt someone. He continued, whether or not it was justified, I will not bother with just now. I was miserable and angry and caused pain. Thank God it's over. Now, though I am happy, loved, and in love, so surely everything is different. Why wouldn't it be? The only reason it would be the same is, well, if I'm the same. And I try very hard not to be. I'm older, I should hope wiser, and far from any outside source even similar to those days, and that is what scares. He had me scratch out scares and put worries, then scratch that out and put scares again. In all our other letters, I cannot ever remember him being so indecisive, even anxious, and never ever had he mentioned his first wife. That is what scares me, that yes, I was tricked, and yes, she was mad, and no, the destruction of the house was not my doing, but that the capacity for violence was in me. And that means it must still be there. I don't know if you see it, Jane, but when I'm angry, I pull away from you. I try to put some kind of distance between us. At this point, reader, I stopped writing. I was worried you thought I was angry with you, or that I don't want your company, some other explanation so far from the truth. I can't remember ever being angry with you. But I was seldom angry at Bertha. either. I was angry at her family, her madness, anything, everything. I'm worried that in some rage, in a moment of weakness, I'll say something or do something like I did before I knew you. I could say nothing. You're too clever not to have thought of it before coming back. He was right. I had. I want you to know, Maxim, and here I began to write again, I want you to know how important it will be in your next few years to find the ways that you can avoid your past mistakes. Your first test will be not becoming upset when I call them mistakes. And Maxim, I cannot stress this enough. If she does not know already, you must tell her everything. As cowardly as we Englishmen can be in admitting failure, especially to the women in our lives, for God's sake and yours, tell her everything. He concluded there with some last small congratulations, and the letter was sealed. He said nothing more about it that night, and I did not press it. I did not know the regret swimming in his heart, but as we sat there in the firelight, I could feel it in his hand on mine. Hesitant, asking permission, I squeezed it tight and tried to think of what to say tomorrow.